I ask myself a lot of questions on a daily basis, most of which I'm not going to mention, but there are three that are related to this video. First of all, when will Gil ever return? Because I just like Gil. Second, what's up with Q and G? But third of all, why does no one talk about Urian? Urian is by far the one of, at least, the coolest Street Fighter characters. And nobody talks about him. And I don't get why. People say he's a high tier character in Third Strike, and people also say that he's a really good character in 5, so why doesn't anybody talk about him? Well, I'm not going to find out, but I am going to say why I like Urian. I know there's another video out there that can do a much better job of explaining Urian, but Urian to me is pretty cool. I'll mostly be talking about Street Fighter 3 since that's the Urian I have the most experience with, but I will touch upon his Street Fighter 5 version as well. So what's up with Urian? What is he like? Well, first of all, Urian is a charge character, similar to Guile, Charlie, Remy, and all those other characters. However, unlike Charlie, Remy, and all those other characters, he has some different moves. For instance, his Fireball, aka his Lightning Ball, because I don't know what else you would call that thing. It's not really anything special, it's just a Hadouken you don't need to charge up that much. What's interesting is that you do have a chance to charge it up, but it doesn't really do more damage. What it does do is delay it, meaning you can mess up your opponent's timing. And when you do, you can really set up some plays. He's also got some shoulder tackles, which I never use because I'm not good at the game, and a headbutt as well. Many people complain about this because you have to charge them up, and I'm not one to talk because I hardly ever use these, because again, I'm bad at this game. But there is one thing about Urian that really sticks with me: his secret techniques, or his super moves. Now, one of them, the Temporal Thunder, is not really that special. It's just a giant version of his basic projectile. His other two moves, however, really amazing. Tyrant Slaughter basically is a stronger version of his already existing charge, which you can see how that can be very useful. But then comes my favorite one, Aegis Reflector. Or is it Aegis Reflector? Let me know how to pronounce that. But anyway, Aegis Reflector, as I'm going to call it for the rest of this video, is basically the ultimate setup tool. You put one of them down, you get onto the opposite end of your opponent, and oh, oh boy, you are not gonna escape that. But even if you don't know how to do that, Urian can still do a lot. It reflects projectiles, it'll knock basic attacks back at you, and of course, pair this with a parry, and you become untouchable. Urian is also a really cool character in terms of design. Now, I'll get the obvious one out of the way. Yes, Urian is just a recolor of Gil. But I do admit that Urian does look pretty good. Also, I like his lore. He's the younger brother who is jealous of the older brother, but instead of being an underdog, he instead just wants to control the secret society for his own malicious gain. Honestly, aside from Akuma and Gil, I think Urian is probably my favorite character in Third Strike. Except for Q, because Q. Look, I have the lore board ready to go on Q. Do not test me. But yeah, Urian is a really special character. And I can't even explain why he's so amazing, except for the Aegis Reflector. But even without it, Urian is still a powerful character. It was with Urian that I started linking combos together. Also, how come we don't have strange transitions in future games? That's all I'm asking. But this is not going to be a very long video, but I am going to say we're going to move on to Street Fighter V just to make things even. Urian in Street Fighter V is a very different beast from Street Fighter 3, while still keeping everything that I liked about Urian in Street Fighter 3. Honestly, Urian is a pretty cool character in this game. Now, it is sad that 2 of his 3 supers were cut from this game, but they did keep one of them. And fortunately for us, they kept the best one, the Aegis Reflector. Except this time, it's even better. You see, in Street Fighter V, there is the V trigger system, where there's a little V gauge at the bottom of the screen. You fill that up, and you can pull off a V trigger. This differs from character to character. For Urian, it gives him his Aegis Reflector back. Except this time, it's even more busted, because not only can you do the exact same things you could in Third Strike, which I forgot to mention, most of them were bugs, and they decided to turn them into full-on features, but now they're now Urian can summon 2 Aegis Reflectors. I don't think this footage is going to show it, but I do know that it is there. The sheer fact that Urian can have 2 of the very things that made him so great in the previous game he was in is outstanding. The only thing I'm not so sure about Urian in this game is mainly his design, but I'm going to have to say that's more of a Street Fighter V thing than a Urian thing. Other than that, Urian really just worked really well in this game, and I wish we got to see more of him. Maybe in a future Street Fighter 7 he could come back with Gil and finally put an end to the rivalry, but who knows at this point. My only question is, why does no one talk about him? Well, that could be for a multitude of reasons. For one, while they are memorable, the cast of Street Fighter 3 is not as well loved as the cast of Street Fighter 2. And the second reason could be Gil exists. And even though Urian is a top tier character while Gil is not, Gil is just more interesting. Way more interesting. As a character. Also, everybody remembers him as that stupid, broken final boss. So yeah, that's Urian. What are your thoughts on Urian? please let me know in the comments below. Sorry this was a shorter one than my Akuma video, but Urian just hasn't appeared that much. Anyway, I have been the Gamer Nerd, and thank you for watching.